So you want to dive into? Do you want to dive into the storylines for each team?
Yeah. So what I decided is that I think one team's got to have an overarching story at least to start the year. So what I thought we should do is I would handle the ones for the NL teams, and then you've got the ones for the AL teams, since you've probably got a better eye on the AL teams than I do.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Do you want to? Yeah. So we'll just kind of run through the storylines real quick. Did you want to? Do you want to go first?
I'll do
Or,
that if you want.
yeah. Did you want to you go through the AL teams, or do you want to we alternate teams? I don't know what the best way to.
Well, I was thinking, do you want to do them by division? Like I'll do the NL East, then you do the AL East, then I'll do the NL Central, or
Yeah. Let's do that.
okay. So we'll start in the NL East, and I'm doing this in the order of how they finished last year. So for the reigning champion Phillies, it's we got to see what becomes of this starting rotation now, because Ronher Suarez is gone, or that's a new one. Apparently, it's been in the league for a handful of years. Only finding out now it's Ronher Suarez, not Ranger.
Oh wow, yeah. I was like, wait, he was saying it wrong this whole time.
Well, I mean, then there's the whole thing. Found that out with Travis Achan. Didn't know that for.
Yeah.
Going back to Clemson, we've known about him since 2018. I had no idea.
Right.
Yeah, Ronher Suarez is gone. We don't know how Zach Wheeler is going to look. One, coming off the blood clots and thoracic outlet, and two, just he's going to be 35, and he's got some innings on that odometer. Is he going to be the same pitcher? So, really, right now, your rotation, you're basically leaning on. You need Christopher Sanchez to be the guy he was last year. You need Aaron Nola to be not cooked. And then after that, it's basically they'll be counting on Andrew Painter, who's been their top pitching prospect for a minute. I think he missed 2024 through injury, and then last year he was back. But he's someone that they've kind of had waiting in the wings for a minute, and they're probably going to need him if they had another guy in Mick Abel who was right there with them. They ended up trading Abel to get Johan Duran, and their bullpen took a little bit of a hit because they lost Matt Strahm. They traded him to Kansas City. So it's, is that pitching going to be the same? For the Mets, it's, what do the new additions provide? Can Freddie Peralta be that ace? Can Robert, Bichette, and Polanco, can they replace the guys that left? Can they provide more down the stretch? That was one of the other big things we heard about when they were acquired was go look at their numbers with runners in scoring position. Look at their numbers with 2 outs, or look at their numbers from the 7th inning onward. And it's like, okay, that's great, but we kind of need that here too. It's great that there's a track record of you doing this. We need you to keep doing that. For the Braves, was 2025 a one-off?
Yeah.
Was that the end of the window? But already things look pretty rough with them so far through the spring. There's Jurickson Profar is going to miss this season with another suspension.
Honestly, I can't really explain why, not to cut you off, but I haven't been able to really fully articulate this well. But for some reason, I am just such a massive Jurickson Profar hater. So let me tell you, when I heard that he was once again suspended for a full season for PEDs, I was I didn't have any champagne bottles, but if I had any, I would have been popping them.
Were you the pack watch meme of the guy? I think it's James Worthy smoking the cigar. And it's like,
yeah,
knock it up, baby.
Yeah, more or less.
Listen, as the senior chief petty officer, I approve.
Yeah, I don't know. Fuck that guy.
I just love him being like, I couldn't tell you why. I just know I don't like that guy. No, I got a whole list of those. So
to me, it's like, I don't know. To me, I just feel like he's always been overhyped as a prospect, as a baseball player, everything. I just never liked him.
And then, as it turns out, there was a reason that oh wow, he had this late career renaissance. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. It all makes sense now.
So there's that. Spencer Schwellenbach going to miss at least the first month or two, I believe, with shoulder issues after he missed most of last year. One of the guys that had to fill in last year when they had all those injuries was A.J. Smith-Shawver, who's been a prospect for them. He actually looked kind of good. He's going to be out till probably August. Hurston Waldrop was another guy that had to get called up because of all the injuries they had. He looked good last year. He will likely miss most of the season. So you're already wondering, are they about to get a rerun? And if so, I don't know if you want to say that the window's closed. I can't say that, not when Acuna and Riley are still in their 20s and Olsen's still hitting the way he is, and they just produced another Rookie of the Year last year in Drake Baldwin. So I can't say that, but it's like the Phillies very clearly caught them and passed them. The Mets caught them in 24. And it's like, yeah, say what you want about last year or whatever. It didn't end well for either team. But what are the Braves right now? Are they still a playoff team, or what's going to happen there? We know Acuna is gonna miss time. Like, this is just, you're gonna get great production, you're gonna see unbelievable athleticism, all that. He's also gonna miss time. Like, this is just part of the experience. It's like, are they built to withstand that? And then also, as good as Chris Sale's been, Chris Sale gets hurt. This is part of the experience. You're already down 2 or 3 of your better younger pitchers. If your Cy Young winner is out, then what?
Yeah. And Sale is, he's another year older, and the injury history, even in his prime years, really hasn't been kind to him. So, yeah, what are you, it's really, like, I was kind of eyeing him, and as I'm going through this draft right now, I was kind of eyeing him at one point and was like, he was available for me to take, but I decided to go in a different direction.
You look at the Marlins.
Manny Machado over him.
Looking at the Marlins, and you can feel pretty good about their rotation. I think Sandy Alcantara is a big bounce back candidate this year. Yuri Perez is tremendous.
I almost drafted him.
I don't hate that. They do lose Edward Cabrera, but Braxton Garrett should probably take a jump. Max Meyer is a guy that needed a little bit of seasoning last year. He's been a prospect for them. I don't necessarily love the Chris Paddock signing, but I get it. Like, maybe you can flip him. Ryan Gusto was a guy that they got for Jesus Sanchez last year. Still has the potential to be somebody. They had a nice signing with Pete Fairbanks as the closer. You like that. The question with the Marlins, I think, is like, yes, Jacob Marcy had a nice second half last year. Kyle Stowers is going to miss the first month. News just came down today that he's injured. I like the idea of, if you're going to trade Edward Cabrera to the Cubs, like, the Cubs do have a decent farm system. You got to get something there. They got Owen Casey. I think that can be somebody. Marcy's got to keep this up, but from so far, a good place to start. Xavier Edwards is an above average starting second baseman. Agustin Ramirez showed a lot of potential last year. I wonder, is he closer to the first half Ramirez we saw or the second half Ramirez? Because there was a big difference. Otto Lopez at shortstop put up better numbers than I realized. I thought he was like so many other of their post-Hanley Ramirez shortstops and just was an all-defense, no-bat guy. Actually, Otto Lopez almost drove in 80 runs. I couldn't believe it either. Connor Norby's got the pedigree at third base, but got to see the numbers. If 2 of those other guys in the lineup can take a jump, and it can be any combination, whether Christopher Morel bounces back, we've seen him be a good major league hitter, whether Agustin Ramirez can be closer to the guy that we saw for the first couple of months last year. The Marlins weren't that far off a playoff spot last year, just with what they had. A full season of Marcy, having Owen Casey now in this lineup, why can't that team win 85, 86 games if they actually get a little bit of luck? Like, I don't think they're that far out of the mix. I don't think any of the teams in the NL that see them on the schedule should look at them and just go, oh, well, that's lunch. you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, no, you really can't. You really can't sleep on the Marlins. You really can't sleep on. I mean, you really can't sleep on any of these teams in the NL East. I would expect it to kind of play out the way it did last year, where it's kind of a 2-team race at the end of the day between like the Mets and the Phillies. But really, you could really make a case for any of the other teams. You could really make a case, maybe not for making a push for the division, but at the very least, keeping things interesting and being at least a wild card contenders.
And then for the Washington Nationals,
maybe there's one team you can sleep on.
Yeah, trading Mackenzie Gore, I get the idea of like you want to get more cracks at it, but like you got Mackenzie Gore, who was close to Major League ready when you got him in the Soto deal. I get his 2025 wasn't great. His 2024 was. And it's like, yeah, maybe 2 or 3 of those guys that you got back from Texas hit. Maybe. But now you got to do the whole development process again. And here we are. This is about to be the 4th full season after the Soto trade. 5 in total. The Nationals haven't had a winning record since they won the World Series. They haven't been close. And it's like, you're trying to sell this team, and it doesn't feel like you're close to contention whatsoever. Even like, we talk all the time with the Dodgers, where when they traded Scherzer and Turner to the Dodgers, like, they got Keibert Ruiz, who is a starting level catcher, but he's not transcendent. And Josiah Gray just seems to have completely lost it. And it's like, outside of James Wood, who's someone on that team that you can feel pretty good about being there in 5 years right now? Because it seems like they're shopping C.J. Abrams at every opportunity. And beyond that.
Yeah, it's like they did their rebuild, and now it seems like they're rebuilding that rebuild. And it's like, and it happened so quickly. It's just kind of like, maybe they just kind of sold their souls to win that World Series in 2019. I don't know.
Hey. But yeah, to start it that quickly, that's one way to get. That's a good way to get back into another rebuild real quick. We're going to be looking at like core number 3 or number 4 here in short order. If you don't have a little bit of patience and try to cash in some of these guys, because I think they still have everybody else from the Soto trade, but like I said, it sounds like they kind of have a short leash with C.J. Abrams, which I kind of get. His defense isn't great. There's the gambling stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like
he hasn't exactly
caliber bat at shortstop. Like, you give that guy every chance.
Yeah, he hasn't exactly.
Oh no. Oh, I think we might have lost Chris here. Okay, I'm gonna text him. I think we may have just lost. Chris here on the show, so I'm going to text him. We'll see if we can reconnect here. This happens. We'll be all right. Yeah, for the Nationals, it's James Wood. Okay, his power just surged. That's what happened. I hope everything's good up there. I don't know if he's got storms or not. So it says it might take him a minute to get back in. So I'll let him know. I will knock out the other NL storylines. Do that right here. This is how live podcasting goes, folks. But yeah, for the Nationals, it's okay. James Wood's a good building block. I think he's a great talent, but you got to give him some support. And right now, I know the Nationals did have the number 1 pick in the draft last year with Eli Willits, and he's a high schooler, so it's going to take him a minute. But right now, it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of support there in Washington. And I know they're trying to sell that team. So maybe this is by design to let that next group start over. I don't know if I buy that, but yeah, the Nationals feel further away from contending than the Marlins do, which is a crazy thing to say. We look at the Brewers, and the lineup feels mostly the same. You got William Contreras. Christian Yelich is still there. Jackson Chourio has the capability of becoming an MVP candidate. I don't know if he will this year, but I mean, anyone who's watched Jackson Chourio in his first 2 years, like, you see it. That is a tremendous bat. The question's going to be now is who's going to be the next ace? And they've done a terrific job of developing their own. Corbin Burns was that guy. Brandon Woodruff was a guy that they drafted. Freddie Peralta was a guy that they got when he was 19 years old, when he was in low A ball. So they got him for Adam Lind back in either 2015 or 16. So they have just turned out young ace after young ace after young ace. This is what they do. And so now the question is, can Jacob Mizorowski build on that impressive start last year? Can he take the reins and be that guy? They get Brandon Sprode in the trade for Freddie Peralta. I think out of the three young pitchers that came up for the Mets down the stretch last year, obviously Nolan McLean was number one. But Brandon Sprode certainly looked pretty comfortable as well. Not every start was great, but if Brandon Sprode had been on the roster for the Mets coming into this season, I would have thought, well, okay, you still probably need to go get a proven pitcher to help stabilize the rotation, but like McLean and Sprode and Tong all have the opportunity to be someone. I do think there's a skill set there with Brandon Sprode, and I remember when I looked at the trade and I saw what the return was going to be, I thought, well, that's probably the best place he can go. I think that they know exactly what they're doing with young pitchers. They've just hit and hit and hit and hit. So would not surprise me if he just becomes that guy. Now the question is how quickly that'll happen, and is that going to be enough for them to win the division again? Looking elsewhere in the NL Central, you'll get the Cubs, and they lose Kyle Tucker, and that's big. But they made two really big additions on each side. They go and get Alex Bregman. That solidifies their infield. That's someone that still does numbers, has that championship pedigree, has been in many a big game. And then they added Edward Cabrera to the rotation, and that'll be a big one too. And it's, you look at their leading ace right now, and it's, is Cade Horton going to be able to replicate his rookie success? Yeah, there seems to be something going on with Shota Imanaga. Can they count on him to bounce back to 2024 form? But Edward Cabrera feels like a guy that you can plug into the top of your rotation right now to lead the way for you. I believe Justin Steele's coming back from injury. Can he refine his form? But I've liked Edward Cabrera for a long time. He's always impressed me when he was with the Marlins. He was a guy that I was hopeful that the Mets could find a way to acquire, even though I knew that wouldn't be the easiest thing to do. But that should be a good a good addition for them. Looking elsewhere is a couple things here. We look at the Cincinnati Reds, and kind of backdoored their way into the playoffs last year, but late in spring training, more issues. I believe it was the shoulder for Hunter Green, and he will likely be out till July. And yes, they did go and add Eugenio Suarez to that lineup where you have Ellie De La Cruz. Sal Stewart came on late in the year. He might be somebody. You compare him with Spencer Steer in the corners. I know there's guys that all right, hey, we got Heck back.
Yeah, I'm back.
I think the Reds kind of had a wealth of bats that they didn't always know where to put everyone. But Eugenio Suarez, that's just simple. He's a DH. You don't have to worry about that. But you looked at their rotation, you thought, okay, Hunter Green's a clear number one. Lodolo and Abbott are good 2s and 3s, but it just felt like one of those things where that rotation works because Hunter Green is one of those. He is one of those ones. When he's been healthy, he has been the pitcher they thought he'd be when they drafted him as a two-way. He's been tremendous. And now it's, the plan is to have him back by July, but you never know with these things. Can Andrew Abbott and Nick Lodolo carry the rotation for the first 3 months and hold the fort until Hunter Green gets back. If they can, I think they can hit well enough to stay in the playoff race and maybe even the Central race. If they don't, it's a lost season for Cincinnati. For the St. Louis Cardinals, not a sense that we have said often in our lifetimes. They are officially in a rebuild. Paul Goldschmidt's gone. Nolan Arenado's gone. Brendan Donovan gone. Sonny Gray's moved on. This is a team that is for the first, pretty much not in my conscious life watching baseball. It's not often that the Cardinals have just been a flat out afterthought, but here we are, and
they've done plenty.
They're going to be there for the next little bit.
Yeah, and they've done plenty of competitive rebuilds, or they've had their years where it's like they kind of take like a year or two off to like replenish their prospect pool, and then they're like baseball terrorists again. But this really feels like the first time, maybe.
Yeah, they're tearing it all the way down.
Lifetimes where they're really stripping it down.
Yeah, this is just like we've done as much as
my apologies. A storm is hitting the area, and that's why we had my power surged for a second, which disconnected the Wi-Fi, which turned into a whole thing. So hopefully that doesn't happen again.
I was wondering about that. I was like, because I saw something this morning where it's like Pennsylvania might get something today. So as soon as you said your power surge, I was like,
yeah.
And then this one, I feel free to jump in here, but for the Pirates, I don't think Paul Skeens is the story, because we know what he is now. It's like, he's good enough to win the Cy Young in year two. He's just one of the 3 best pitchers in baseball. We know that. The question is how. I don't know if it's been confirmed. I think they said yesterday that Griffin will start the year in AAA. But when Connor Griffin comes up, how good can he be right away? And because it's not as if the Pirates are devoid.
They should have called him up.
Go ahead.
They should have called him up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he was raking. Everybody saw those highlights early on where he's clearing the little monster in Fort Myers against the Red Sox. It's like, no, that's a major league hitter right now.
Yeah.
And because, like I was going to say, I don't think the Pirates are completely devoid of major league bats.
Yeah, not anymore.
Brian Reynolds aren't what they once were. And it's like, Brian De La Cruz can be somebody. Ryan O'Hearn was a good major league hitter last year. I don't get why they signed Marcell Ozuna, but he still hits. If Connor Griffin is just the guy that we think he is right out of the box, the Pirates could be a problem for somebody late in the season.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, no, the expectations are definitely higher than they've been in a pretty long time around here for the Pirates. And with the I think a lot of it, some of it's warranted. I think Ozuna kind of moved the needle a little bit, because they were signing some guys like Brandon Lau and Ryan O'Hearn, and it's like, okay,
I forgot him.
Yeah, Brandon Lau, he'll probably go off in April and then disappear, and then disappear for the rest of the year. He's good for that, but and Ryan O'Hearn, I think that maybe some fans around here are maybe overrating Ryan O'Hearn, but it's understandable to a degree considering what they were trotting out there last year. He's definitely at least a replacement level professional hitter in comparison. But yeah, Ozuna, he definitely, I think Ozuna definitely provides enough pop and excitement that it's like, oh, okay, we might actually have a nice little lineup here. But yeah, I do think that at this point, I know he's only 19 years old, but I think at this point, if you're not calling up Connor Griffin, you're kind of just wasting time.
Looking at the NL West and with the Dodgers, where is the exhaust port in the Death Star?
Yeah.
What's the weakness? Because their bullpen was ass. So
that
they just went to find Edwin Diaz.
Yep.
Oh, wait. Fuck else are we supposed to do?
Yeah, I don't know. There's really not much there's really not much to say. And I mean, then you have, the top of the lineup is still the top of the lineup. I mean, everyone's a year older, but nobody's really shown any signs of slowing down up there. So yeah, I mean, they still have Teoscar too, right? He re-signed. So yeah, they really didn't lose anyone. They've only, it's like they've only really just the rich getting richer, basically.
And Shohei's another year healthy, so he'll be pitching more this year. So we're gonna get you'll get the full Ohtani experience.
Yeah.
Put it away, Jude. Put it away.
Yeah, for real. We don't know if you took it out, but keep it away. Yeah. Unfortunately.
The thing with the Padres is just as they currently stand, have they reached their ceiling? Because
it's hard to say.
They've had to let guys go. They lose Dylan Cease. They've had to make their sacrifices. And is this what they're going to be? Are they good enough to be a playoff team? Good enough to push the Dodgers in the West, but is that going to be it? Because the Padres, this seems like basically this is the same team from last year minus Dylan Cease, and they didn't really fill that spot in the rotation. So
yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I mean, I know they re-signed Michael King when they brought him back, but
which is good.
Yeah, but it is kind of starting to feel like the beginning of the end for the Padres. There's been rumors in the offseason that that they were shopping Fernando Tatis, or at least taking calls on him. So, and there's all the reports that they're got some cash flow issues, which is why why they traded Soto to the Yankees in the first place, because they knew they weren't going to be able to sign him. So
the sale still hasn't. I don't know if they're even close to having a new buyer yet, and that's part of been the reason for all of this.
Yeah. So they're
trying to clear the decks for the next guy.
Yeah. So they're still kind of stuck in limbo with that whole situation, and it feels like they're a team that's trending downwards. Like, this might be, depending how this year goes, this year might be like their last year to really try to contend. If the window's even still open at all. Like, the window may have already been shut, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I looking at it, it really feels like 2024 might have been the shot.
Yeah.
I know they got to the NLCS in 22, but if they beat the Dodgers in 24, they would have had a 50-50 shot at beating the Mets, and a Padres-Yankees World Series could have gone either way if they
there. I think we would have won, because we kind of from what I remember, we owned the Padres in the regular season that year.
I think you're right.
I think we swept them, or at least took 2 out of 3.
I mean, and it's looking at the one thing I will say for the Padres is that under AJ Preller, they have consistently aced their farm system to where they've either had guys that they could call up that produced, or good enough that they could trade. Yeah. And when you look, their top 2 prospects right now are Cruz Schoolcraft, who was a pitcher that they took in the draft last year, so he's not going to be up right away. He's 18 years old. Number 2 is Ethan Salas, who is a 19-year-old catcher. He's been around for a minute. Like, they're just having him in Double-A because it's like 19-year-old catchers just don't exist in Major League Baseball, at least not in this day and age. So he's not going to be up yet either. And it's like, after that, it's Miguel Mendez, who's projected for this year, but then it's guys that are projected to arrive in 28, 29, 29, 29. Like, they don't even have the farm system right now to go plug a hole right now, or go get somebody,
or to flip someone. Yeah, it's like they almost might be better off. Like, I mean, you got to see how the first half of the season goes, but I think they're a team where if the first half of the season doesn't go too great, like, you could see them start to, like, I know that there were trade talks for Tatis in the offseason, but if the Padres start the season out slow, I think you could see those trade talks start to gain some steam again, and maybe you see some guys like Tatis or Machado start to you see or like Darvish, you see guys start to get moved.
And this was part of the reason why it's like, yes, getting Mason Miller is a good thing because he arguably might be the best right now. But also maybe you shouldn't have traded Leo DeVries for him. That one's gonna be like
that may have been a little short-sighted. Maybe they were kind of thinking like looking back, it's like 2024 may have been like their best shot, but they probably felt like, okay, we feel like we have a good chance again to do something in the postseason. So, maybe they felt like 2025 or 2026 was their last shot. But yeah, that's starting, that move is starting to look a little short-sighted, as good as Mason Miller is.
Yeah, and I think he's going to continue to be good, but it's like, imagine if you could have just
how valuable is we saw it with the A's. It's like, how valuable is like a dominant closer on a bad team if you're not like winning games.
But imagine you could just call up Leo DeVries right now and he could replace Jake Cronenworth at second, or if Manny Machado misses time where he starts to decline at third base, you just plug him in there. Right. Or even if like you didn't want to play Xander at short anymore, you just put him there. Like now they're just kind of stuck with the infield they have, which again, Manny Machado might still be good for another 3-4 years. We don't know. Yeah. But Leo DeVries is 19, 20. Like he's going to be good for a while.
Oh, yeah.
For the Arizona Diamondbacks, speaking of young infielders, can Jordan Lawler become the guy that he was expected to be? Because
Jordan the King Lawler.
He was
Has anyone said that yet? I'm coining it.
No, actually, let's start that movement right now. Oh, God, King. Every home if someone wants to do the John Sterling thing for each home run for Jordan Lawler, by God, King. But he and Corbin Carroll were kind of coming up at the same time, and Jordan Lawler was kind of stop-startish, whereas Corbin Carroll just was great right out of the chute. And then Jordan Lawler's had health issues since. But now they were trying to move him to the outfield because Jordan Lawler was a shortstop, and now they have Geraldo Perdomo, so that's not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, Jordan Lawler still has all the athleticism, and if he can hit, like that would solve some problems for Arizona because they moved on from Suarez, they moved on from Josh Naylor, they've let some guys go, and if Jordan Lawler just becomes another bat in that lineup with Corbin Carroll and Perdomo and Gabe Moreno, all of a sudden, like, again, I wouldn't expect the Diamondbacks to overtake the Dodgers, but like they could be in contention for a playoff spot. And it's just for someone who was so talented and was so hyped for so long, it's like I can't imagine that he doesn't have a story in Major League Baseball where it's just he's just the guy and then it just never happens.
Yeah.
So and by all accounts, absolutely was killing it at spring training this year. So maybe this is the breakout year for Jordan Lawler.
Jordan the King in 2026. Is that everyone in the NL West or Rockies? I guess you still got.
We got the Giants
and the Giants.
Bryce for as much as they went and they added Luis Arias. They've got plenty of names between him and Devers and Chapman and Jung Ho Lee and Logan Webb and everyone else they've got. Bryce Eldridge really has every at bat this spring. It's like, wow, that ball's really jumping off his bat. And we've heard about him for a minute. So if Bryce Eldridge is just someone who just holds down the first base job for a decade, and Rafael Devers becomes your full-time DH, which I know he doesn't want to be, but it's like, you're not displacing Matt Chapman. So get that out of your head.
Yeah.
But if Bryce Eldridge is the goods right away, like, does that take the Giants from being perpetually 81-81 to another team in the mix for the NL wild card? Because it kind of feels like, since they had that miraculous 106 win season in 2021, they've basically been the same team for the last 4 seasons. They start off good. they're in the playoff mix into August, and then they fade. And then you look up and they're 81 and 81 or somewhere around there. But if Bryce Eldridge is just that guy right away, does that change the trajectory of this franchise, given what else they already have?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think with and I think also with the Giants, I think the big storyline is, also just how does how does this new manager translate to Major League Baseball?
Yeah,
it's the first time a manager has gone straight from like a college baseball head coach to a major league manager. So, I think
no prior experience.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be interesting. Yeah, definitely be interesting to see how how that transpires too. But yeah, definitely seems like especially in the NL West, it just seems like for the next few years, I think it's like if you're not close, you kind of just gotta build for the future. But I don't know. I have this weird feeling. I obviously there's nothing to, nothing to base it off of because we've never seen it before. But I have this weird feeling that that whole thing is kind of going to work out for them.
Ooh, all right.
I don't know what exactly that means in 2026 because, there's only so many playoff spots and, the Dodgers have basically already won the NL West. But
yeah.
So, but like I could see them finishing the season over 500.
Okay.
I see them winning like 83 games, maybe competing for like the last wild card spot.
And then I'll wrap up the storylines with the Colorado Rockies and just any signs of life? Anything? Yeah. Charlie Condon, you still got him, right? What's happening?
Yeah,
that's all I got there. So those are my one story for each NL team here in 2026. Over
nicely
to you.
Done. I know. I know. I missed a couple while after my power surge where my Wi-Fi went down. But yeah, thank you for carrying the load while I was incapacitated there for a minute.
We adjust on the fly. That's how we do.
Yeah. I really don't have much to add for the Rockies. Nice job not breaking the White Sox record just 1 year later. Props to you for that. Is now like, can you do anything to show signs of life or progress going forward? But yeah, for the American League, I guess we could do the same format where we'll start with the East and we'll kind of go in the order of how the teams finished last year. So let me pull up the 2025 MLB standings real quick. But yeah, starting in the AL East with the defending American League champion Toronto Blue Jays. I would say the biggest storyline going into their season is, and you mentioned it on, you mentioned it in some of those World Series recap videos that you did, is like, how do you recover? Can you recover from losing the World Series in Game 7 in that fashion? I think obviously Dylan Cease, I think, was a great addition for them. And they've got most of the same lineup and rotation. So I'd say it's like, can you recover? Can you kind of survive that hangover? What can Okamoto bring you in the majors? And what just overall, like, yeah, how do you bounce back from that? And can you survive Trey Savage missing? I believe he's slated to miss like the first month of the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the good news for the Blue Jays is IKF isn't there. So
yeah, IKF is gone. So yeah, a little addition by subtraction. Thank you, Red Sox, for taking him on. And then IKF. I don't know. Everyone goes to the Red Sox and then just feels like they just have to talk shit about the Yankees, no matter how bad they were on the Yankees or how bad they are at baseball in general. You had IKF saying, "Oh, we actually wanted to play the Yankees because we thought they'd be easier to beat." when after he signed with the Red Sox, he's like, "Yeah, when I was in Toronto, like we were rooting for the Yankees because we thought they'd be an easier opponent." And then you had Sonny Gray saying everything he said, like, "Oh, I'm just happy I could be somewhere where I can fully hate the Yankees to the extent that I do." It's like, all right, dude, it's like, it's not our fault you sucked for us. But
at least with IKF, it's like, okay, well, that was a direct thing that he just signed for the Red Sox, who, if they had beaten the Yankees, would have played the Blue Jays. Like that one, it's like you kind of can't talk your way out of that. Like he can't be up there like, yeah, we thought you guys were sweet. Like that wouldn't have been a problem. Like, yeah, I kind of get that one. I'm not excusing it, but I can understand why he had to say that.
Yeah, Sonny Gray. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I never
were gone before COVID. What the fuck?
Yeah. It was so long ago at that point. Like, it's like, why are you still mad at us for? You've gone and sucked plenty of other places too. But yeah, I think for the Blue Jays, it's, can you survive, kind of survive the losing the World Series hangover, and what can your new additions bring to the table? For the Yankees, I think for the Yankees, it's, can you beat the running it back allegations? Been a lot of, obviously there's been a lot of talk all off season long how they're just perfectly content with running back the same roster in 2025 that they had in 2026, plus getting Garrett Cole back from injury. And I think that a lot of the fans talked about this in a negative light. And the players have definitely, the players and the manager have definitely taken, notice of all the running it back talk. And it does seem like they have tried to spin it into a positive. But yeah, I guess it's, how do you, can you beat those allegations, and can you, actually bring the positivity of running it back to fruition, which, ultimately it's going to be judged by, what you do in the playoffs, and, whether or not, Judge actually had a pretty good postseason last year, but, it kind of gets forgotten because most of his playoff performances have been underwhelming. And I think that even though overall he did pretty good in the WBC, obviously people are gonna remember how it ended with that. So, I think it's, can you beat the running it back allegations, and can you turn that into a positive that, it's one thing to talk about running it back being a good thing because you have, 4 former MVPs on your roster, but, can you actually make it into a positive and, improve upon your season last year and, get back to, get back into the World Series and, maybe be a little more, competitive this time. Go ahead.
I mean, I know where you stand with Boone, but do you feel like there's a certain point this year where it's like, if it go, obviously if they don't make the playoffs, I think that would, barring like an injury outbreak, like if they just have a regular year and don't make the playoffs, I think that would cost them. But it's like, say they reach the same point in 2026 that they did in 25. Do you think that would be it for Aaron Boone, or do you think he's safe no matter what?
I think it would take a lot for him to get fired. I think if they get back to the division round and lose, I don't think that loses his job. I think if they were to face the Red Sox in the wild card round and lose, or if they were to miss the playoffs altogether, then maybe, I'd say that turns into a little bit more of a possibility. But generally speaking, I would say that it seems like his job is pretty much safe, unless the season ends up being like a colossal failure, which I really don't see happening.
That's why I think you were right to bring up the running it back allegations, because when you put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, for the Red Sox, I think it's, can another year of, can you build on another year of your young talent and your young prospects, and does shopping in the bargain bin work for you? Because they kind of took the cheap route in free agency. And holy shit, it's really raining now. But yeah, they kind of took the cheap route in free agency. But they got another year of Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer. Ronheimer Suarez is now on the Red Sox, so their rotation's a little stronger. So I guess it's a matter of where does that, you lost in the wild card round to the Yankees. So where does that all lead you to now? I guess is their, I guess that's what their storyline would be going into the season.
Yeah, I think it's still one of those things where they have so many young hitters that between Meyer and Christian Campbell, and I think Cedon Rafaela has kind of become a guy where they're comfortable playing wherever with him because he's such a superior defender that you take whatever you get from him offensively, and he's not a nothing on offense, but you don't expect him to hit 300, you don't expect the 300, 400, 500 slash line from him.
Right.
But then it's like, well, what are they going to do with Jarren Duran? He sounds like someone that they've been trying to move. It's like, okay, is he a starting outfielder for us, or do we need to trade him and get someone better? Feels like basically since the middle of last season, they've been trying to make up their mind on him, and I'm still not sure they're totally sold on him. So it's like, if one of those guys can take a step forward where it's, hey, yeah, you can count on us for the next 10 years, I think that would raise their floor, because clearly, like, Roman Anthony was the guy right away. I think they're hoping one of those other young players will do the same thing.
Yeah, and maybe Jarren Duran. I'm sure this is probably a year where Jarren Duran's, where his future, and you talk about how questions often answer themselves, or like things often work themselves out in Major League Baseball, and that definitely seems like it'll probably be the case with Jarren Duran this year. Like, whether he gets traded or whatever happens, it seems like this is the year that's kind of going to determine, what his long-term outlook in Major League Baseball looks like, and whether or not that's with the Red Sox.
Do we have the Orioles next or the Rays?
The Rays are next. The Orioles finished in last. For the Tampa Bay Rays, a storyline for them, I guess, is, because it's kind of hard to make, it's kind of hard to, it's looking at their roster, it's kind of difficult to, with the Rays, I guess the storyline is, what are you doing, and can you beat the farm team allegations?
Well, we know about one of those.
Yeah. One of those, the answer is most likely going to be no. But yeah, as far as what they're doing, it's weird because like they're good in certain spots. Like you look at their bullpen is not that bad. The top of their rotation really isn't that bad, but it just seems like it just seems like they're gonna have trouble putting it all together. I say, as I contemplated drafting Griffin Jacks to my fantasy team, but I went with Alejandro Kirk.
Hey, listen, if there's something that you never worry about with the Rays, they're going to nail their relievers. They get those right.
They do. Yeah.
Sometimes their starters are really good. Sometimes they're mid. Sometimes they find a diamond or two in the rough with a bat where, they just find a Yandy Diaz or a Jonathan Aranda out of nowhere. Sometimes they don't. But the relievers always hit.
Yeah. Yeah, the relievers do always seem to be on point with the Rays. And then for the Orioles, I think it's can you bounce back? Can your young core recover from a down year? And can Pete Alonso kind of be the guy that puts you over the top, or at least gets you back into the top half of teams in this division?
And it's if Trevor Rogers has another year like he did last year, I forget who was there. They signed another pitcher, and it wasn't Zach Gallen, because I remember that he was a guy that they were linked to, and then they ended up I think Zach Gallen just took the 1-year deal. Chris Bassett, they took Chris Bassett. Who, I have my feelings about him, but for what Baltimore needs, that's exactly who they needed. Like you hope that Kyle Bradish is another year clear of his injury, and that he finds his pre-injury form, because he was a borderline Cy Young candidate. And if all of a sudden you have Rogers, Bradish, and Bassett as your top three,
you're cooking.
You can compete with that.
I think also another storyline is what are they going to do at catcher? Because Samuel Basallo had a really good year, but
they paid him.
What's that?
They paid him right at the
and they paid him.
They called him up.
Yeah, and Adley Rutschman, Adley Rutschman was like the young phenom before that. So, I guess you're probably going to be looking at, you might be looking at Rutschman playing some DH.
Yeah, I don't think Rutschman's at now or never territory yet.
No.
But this feels like a year where it's like it was half of 2024 and all of 25 where he just was not the guy that we're used to him being. And it's like, okay, which way are you going to go? Like, are you going to be the foundational hitter that this whole rebirth was built on, or are you just done? Because if he's just done, then the Orioles are kind of back to square one, because it's, Rutschman was supposed to be the next Buster Posey, except he hit left-handed.
Yeah.
If he's not going to hit, that kind of takes away a lot of that.
Yeah, definitely. That would definitely put a wrench in their plans if he can't return to form. But honestly, looking at the Orioles, I mean, I don't really see any reason. I think the Orioles are going to be a problem again. I think this whole division is going to be maybe not the Rays, but I think this whole division is going to be a shit show, and that's the way we like it here.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a 90-plus loss team. There might not be like an 85-plus loss team in this division.
No, there might not be. Like the Rays could finish last place and be like right around 500, I think.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so once again, the AL East will be an absolute shit show. It always is, but I think even more so this year. Moving on to the AL Central, starting with the defending AL Central champions, who no one seems to believe in, to have a repeat performance. The Cleveland Guardians. I'd say can you prove the haters wrong once again? I mean, yeah, you've kind of obviously they have their limitations as so what they can spend, but they do have a great player development system, particularly pitchers. They're always they're always churning out good pitchers. So can you can Jose Ramirez be Jose Ramirez, and can they get some help around them? You're gonna have Austin Hedges and Bo Naylor as your catchers, probably more so Bo Naylor, but
for Austin Hedges, he's about to be out of the league with the ABS stuff, man. It is framers. Yeah. Count your days.
Yeah, I mean, particularly if framing is the only thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's your days are quite numbered. I mean, their roster, it doesn't look terrible, but it also doesn't look great. So I guess it's a matter of will that be enough, and can guards ball prevail once again?
I hope not, for everybody's sake.
Yeah. I don't really like have any hate or ill will towards the Guardians, but I'm just kind of tired of like hearing about that whole thing. For the Detroit Tigers, is this perhaps the last dance? They after choking away the division last year, they beat the Guardians in the playoffs. And then they have, a pretty incredible 5-game series with the Mariners where they fall just short. It seems like this is going to be the last year of. Seems like this will be the last year that Tariq Skubal is in a Tigers uniform. So can they capitalize on it and kind of get over the hump, especially with the addition now of Framber Valdez to that rotation, and bringing your boy Justin Verlander back home.
Yeah. And also they're another team that might have a Rookie of the Year candidate right out of the gate, and Kevin McGonigal, who has just completely torn up spring training. So that's another one where if he hits, hey, all of a sudden, like it feels like the last 2 years they've been short one bat in the playoffs, because each of the last 2 years, they've gotten to Game 5 of the division series, had Skubal on the mound, pitching reasonably well, and they just needed 1 or 2 more hits, and they could have kept playing. I mean, certainly last year when you lose the deciding game in 15 innings, it's how many situations where it's like, man, if we just got 1 ball in the gap or like 1 sacrifice fly, Kevin McGonigal might be the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he could very well be the difference, or he could very well be the guy that they are counting to, that they're counting on to, put him over the top. So yeah, it definitely feels like, this might be their last chance. So can they make the best of it? And it's kind of crazy that it's like you're kind of already in that, last chance you're kind of already in that last chance mindset, because just 2 years ago they were like sellers at the deadline, and that kind of propelled them to a playoff run.
Yep.
And then they get propelled to another playoff run last year. So
I mean, and it might be them being cheap, but I kind of respect that. It's like the Tigers are just like, you know what? We've got the best pitcher in baseball. Screw it.
Yeah.
Maybe we just need like a couple breaks and it's ours. Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, no, sometimes that's all it takes. For the Royals, I think it's I think their storyline is can Jack Caglione take the year 2 leap, and can this team stay healthy? Because this was a team that was in the playoffs 2 years ago. They kind of fell back last year, but they also were dealing with a lot of they were also dealing with like a lot of injuries in their rotation. So, I think Cole Reagan's missed some time. I think Lugo had a great year, but I think he got hurt at one point too. So
he did.
So can they, can they stay healthy? And, is that going to be enough for them to possibly compete? The AL Central is usually a pretty wide open division. So, like, is that going to be enough for them to compete in the division or at least get back to a wild card?
I mean, it'll be interesting is that, obviously you have Bobby Witt in the lineup, and there's a lot of talk about Carter Jansen going to be the successor to Sal Perez behind the plate whenever it is that he hangs it up. At the very least, Carter Jansen looks like he's going to be their mostly full-time DH, and he hit really well right out of the box last year. You have Michael Garcia at third, quietly a very underrated player that I feel like if he was at any other position, we'd be talking about him as an up-and-coming potential all-star. Vinny Pasquantino just hits it over at first base. So
yep.
You got your corners taken care of, you got short taken care of, and behind the plate, you're set up for no matter who it is. So it's just if they could get a little bit of health, they went out and got Matt Strahm from the Phillies, so they've continued to shore up their bullpen. There's every reason for the Royals to be in the mix again this year.
Yeah, and it does sound like the end is near for Salvador Perez. He did say. I mean, he is pretty old, and he did say after the World Baseball Classic that he felt like he felt like he could retire now. So it kind of feels like this is gonna be the last dance for him. And I hope it's a good one because I drafted him to be my catcher in fantasy.
Yeah, real quick update. How's the rest of the roster looking?
Yeah, so the draft is done. So I took I'm trying to go in order of how I drafted, but I'm looking at my lineup now. Yeah, so I took Crochet with that first pick, and then I took Manny Machado. I got Mookie Betts at shortstop, Ronald Acuna in the outfield, Nico Horner at second. Ben Rice is my first baseman. Perez, as I just mentioned, is my catcher. And then my other two outfielders, I got Randy Arozarena and Steven Kwan. I got Yande Diaz and this was I accidentally was on auto pick for a couple of picks, but I got Caleb Durbin as my other utility guy. Then on my bench, I got Sal Frelick,
all right,
Alejandro Kirk, Jung-Ho Lee, and Kyle Stowers. So I'll be putting Stowers in an IL spot and picking somebody else up. And then for the pitching, beyond Crochet, I got Kyle Bradish, Luis Castillo. This is so this league it is 5 pitching slots, and it's like they could be starters or relievers. It's not like 3 starters, 2 relievers type of deal. So you can kind of do whatever you want. But so I got Crochet, Castillo, and Bradish are my are 3 of my pitchers, and they're starters, and then I got 2 relievers. And then my 2 relievers are David Bednar and Devin Williams. And then on my bench, I have Nick Lodolo, and I believe my last pick in this draft was Abner Uribe.
Okay, pretty good.
And that's my team. So we'll see how it goes. I usually don't do too well in this league, although I think I finished 3rd last year. So, but I think in this league, I mean, it'll probably be different because we upped the buy-in for this league to $100 from $50. So people might be taking it more seriously and not quitting, and not quitting like halfway through, like you get in a lot of fantasy baseball leagues. But yeah, we'll see see how it goes. It should hopefully be a decent year. And I think I'm going to put in this claim for Connor Griffin just to grab him and just have him on my roster for when he eventually does get called up. Seems like the move. But yeah, that's my team. And I guess moving along in the storyline, looking at the Minnesota Twins now. It's I mean, I can't lie, it's looking pretty rough for the Twins.
Yeah.
I guess their storyline is I guess they're one of those any signs of life. Does Taylor Rogers have anything left in the tank? Can you be good enough? That that Joe Ryan does not get traded at the deadline? Which
I feel like that would be more incentive.
Yeah. Or maybe it's more incentive to trade him.
And that's if he's healthy, because I know he was dealing with stuff in spring training. And they're already going to be short Pablo Lopez for pretty much the whole year.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're already starting the season out behind the 8 ball, and it's not looking it's really not looking great for them. I mean, looking at their lineup and their hitters, like Josh Bell looks like one of the better hitters, and if Josh Bell is one of your better hitters in the big 2026, oof, that's gonna be tough.
Oh boy.
So best of luck to the Twins, and then closing it out with the Chicago White Sox. They made the trade. They traded Luis Robert or Robert. We'll have the ultimate determination of how his name is pronounced when we hear Gary Cohen say it for the first time. So you'll have to keep me posted on that. But I think it's they won the Murakami sweepstakes, so things seem to be actually trending in a good direction for this team. So I think it's can your young players improve and show some signs of life, and can you be not a playoff team, but can this be a fun team to watch that players will actually or not players can this be a team that fans will actually want to show up to the ballpark to watch in July and August?
Well, apparently if LA Acuna is going to hit like that all year, yes.
No, LA Acuna has had a very he's had a very nice spring.
He's about to run in here like that one meme of the guy in the parking lot. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you.
He's gonna burst through here like the Kool-Aid man.
He's like, oh no.
Oh yes. Moving on though to the AL West. Starting with the Seattle Mariners, I would say they're another team where it's like, how do you they're another team where it's like, can you bounce back from you bounce back from losing the ALCS in heartbreaking fashion? Is Cal Raleigh going to be able to replicate what he did last year? My initial thought, especially if the World Baseball Classic is any indication, is that's probably going to be a no from me, dog. And I think but I mean, they have a really good team, and they're basically co-favored with the Yankees to win the American League. So I think it's just a matter of how do you bounce back and how do you recover from such a heartbreaking loss. And I think it starts with, can you win the AL West again? And I don't really see any reason why they can't.
Well, I mean, the Astros do not have the air of invincibility that they once did. And the fact that they ran them down the way they did, I think should take away that fear factor. Like, if it gets to September and it's you and Houston again, like you caught them last year. You don't have to be scared of this group. I do think what's going to be interesting, and we talked about this in the wake of the ALCS, was I think people were surprised that they let Eugenio Suarez go. But getting a guy like Brendan Donovan in, and we talked about this, really where the ALCS was won. Yes, I know Game 7 was won late, but in the total of the series, I think it was the Blue Jays, it was either their 6 through 9 or their 7 through 9. It's something like 270. The Mariners, same part of the order, hit like 150. Like that was the Mariners had a better top half of the order. The Blue Jays had a better lineup. And I think getting Brendan Donovan, it's not the sexiest name, but that strengthens your lineup. It makes your lineup deeper. And I think that was the biggest thing, was they just didn't have enough bats to threaten Blue Jay pitching last year, especially especially in those type of series where every run is at a premium. And I mean, we saw how close Game 7 ultimately was decided. Yeah. And I think that might have been their biggest thing is we don't need to go get big names, but we need to go get productive names. And Brendan Donovan, certainly that.
Yeah. Once you got like beyond the, once you got beyond like the 4th and 5th spot, you had a lot of automatic outs in that lineup. And I think that's kind of what ultimately led to their demise. Moving on to the aforementioned Houston Astros. The Astros are in kind of a weird spot. They're still good enough, I think, to compete, but you can start to see the window closing more and more with each passing year. I think the biggest story for them is what is Cam Smith going to bring to the table? I think this is going to be his first full season as a starter, if I'm not mistaken. I think it looks like he had. It looks like he. Wait, hold on.
No, I think he was up from the jump last year.
He was there from the jump last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he played a full season last year. So I think he's kind of the X factor as to whether or not he can, whether or not I feel like he's almost the X factor as to whether or not this team can stay competitive for another year. As Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa are kind of entering more of the twilight of their careers.
Mm-hmm. And then also, what are they going to get behind Hunter Brown? Because we don't know what Tatsuyama Ime is going to be over here. I mean, we think he'll be good, but we haven't seen it yet. Is Christian Javier going to bounce back? Because now it's someone's got to step up and be that co-ace with Hunter Brown, like Framber Valdez was. They got Mike Burrows in one of those trades that they made in the offseason from the Pirates. And it's one of those, you used to trust the Astros when they would get these kind of deals where it's okay, they'll do something with him.
They're going to figure this guy out. But
that's not a lock here. And then right now, Lance McCullers is listed as their 5th starter, but we know how this goes.
Oh, yeah, we do.
It'll be the end of April, and he'll be out for 4 months. We know how this. I've seen this movie.
We sure have. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that all goes. I wish them nothing but the worst. Then we go to the Texas Rangers, who finished last year in 3rd place with an even 81-81 .500 record. I think the biggest story for them is, you got rid of Marcus Semien and you brought in Brandon Nimmo. Obviously we've talked plenty of how that's going to impact the Mets, but I think I think that could be a big X factor as far as what the Rangers are able to accomplish this year. Because judging by the way, and I think also what they do with Corey Seager, although judging by like what Corey Seager's comments or lack of comments on the Semien situation, and they kind of have had they've kind of seemed to have had some beef there. So I wonder if bringing in Brandon Nimmo, if that kind of if that's kind of also like a clubhouse move that brings this team closer together, and maybe is the difference between like a few more wins that can lead them to potentially like competing for a wild card spot.
The other thing for me is that they've had all these young guys come up that they think the world of, and Wyatt Langford's kind of probably had the most success. He definitely looked like a guy last year, but then it's like, is Josh Young finally going to put it together for a full season again? He's kind of been stop-start since the 23 World Series. Is Josh Smith going to put it together for a full year? Is Evan Carter going to put it together?
We traded Josh Smith we got Joey. They got Josh Smith in the Joey Gallo trade.
Oh, wow. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But he's someone that they've tried to make it work with at multiple positions, and he just hasn't
really been able to stick anywhere.
Yeah, and like Evan Carter's a guy that they thought the world of, and I know helped them a little bit during their World Series run, but he's kind of been stop-start stints. So it's like if one of those guys takes the jump the way Wyatt Langford has, I mean that you look at their rotation. Jacob deGrom found his old form last year. Nathan Eovaldi's the same pitcher he's always been. Mackenzie Gore is your 3, could be very interesting. This is a team that, if things break right, could
can Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker finally figure it out?
Well, yeah.
I think those are big storylines as well.
Yeah. Jack Leiter currently is their number 4. That's one where it's like if Gore and Leiter find any of that potential, hey, like all of a sudden that would be trouble.
Yeah. And then we got the Athletics, not the Oakland Athletics, not the Las Vegas Athletics. We're still just the Athletics. I think the storyline for them is can their young prospects and their young players, can they build on the success they had last year? I mean, Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson, Kurtz won Rookie of the Year, obviously, and he kind of ran away with it at the end, but Jacob Wilson was making a strong case to be Rookie of the Year for a good chunk of the season as well. So, can they build on the seasons they had? I think, can Brent Rooker and Tyler Soderstrom repeat what they did along with Shea Langoliers, and can you get any pitching whatsoever beyond Luis Severino,
and on the road, mind you, because
who pitched really well for the Dominican Republic in the WBC.
He did. By the way, MLB Pipeline, we were talking about Leo DeVries before, which is who the A's got for Mason Miller. They have him coming up this year.
Yeah.
So he had an 806 OPS last year at AA at 18 years old, mind you. He was 18 for the whole of last season. He will be 19 for the whole of this season. And he had, let me make sure I got this right. He had 15 homers and 11 steals, drove in 74 across 3 levels. So he started in low A ball. Or actually, no, I stand correct. He was at high A ball with 2 different teams because obviously he got traded in the middle of that. And then he played his last 21 games at AA where he hit 281, 359, 551. So yeah, we might be seeing Leo DeVries at some point this year too.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet against it.
Yeah, and we might be entering another golden class of shortstops right now.
Yeah, we really might be, and I hope we are, because it would be It's always the game's always more fun when there's more great shortstops to watch. I think, and then closing it out, we got the Los Angeles Angels, the last place team in the AL West and the last team of this whole series. A storyline for them. Shit. Can Mike Trout stay healthy? I don't know. I think that's
just run up the counting numbers at least.
Yeah. Can Mike Trout stay healthy? And if he does, can you maybe flirt with being a 500 ball club?
I think that's basically the best case scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, it's looking pretty it's looking pretty grim for the Angels. It always is, but I mean, it's the life he chose. Like, people will be like, "Oh, I feel bad for Mike Trout." It's like, no, he's had plenty of. He could get out of this. He could get out of this tomorrow, like, if he really wanted to. He just doesn't care.
I can't say that argument's not invalid.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. Yeah, there really isn't. There really isn't much to prove otherwise.
No.
But all right, so we did our one storyline for every team. So should we run through some awards and then do our World Series predictions?
Well, because you still got to deal with the weather, and I've got Kev's auction draft here in 15 minutes. Do we want to just post our predictions through our social media, and then we can kind of talk about them on the next episode?
Yeah, let's do that.
So at least that way, like, if we post them before the season starts, at least they're up before first.
Yeah,
and that's always another
so we can wrap here. So you got your you got the auction draft. Is that Kev's league, the Dynasty League? Nice. Yeah. Best of luck. I know that's sounds like a pretty
hard.
Yeah, it sounds tough, and it's like Dynasty, so it's like auction drafting for like rookies mostly, or like young players.
Not entirely. So like the ones that are going to be available to bid on, like I see DeGrom, Freddie Freeman, Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager's there, Teoscar's there, Mike Trout's there. Yeah, so there are some vets worth bidding on here.
Okay.
I wonder what Anthony will go for.
What's that?
Anthony Volpe's listed here ahead of Xander Bogaerts and a few others.
Oh man,
that's wild.
Any amount of money bid on Anthony Volpe is $1 too many.
I would agree.
But that's our season preview episode. We'll probably split this up into two separate episodes, given that we've run for a long time. But make sure you're following us at 4 to 7 Pod. Follow Middle Initial Podcast at MIPod69 on the socials. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, and happy opening day. We fucking made it. We are back, and we are so fucking back. And next time we talk, we will have some regular season baseball / little overreaction April. So looking forward to that, and be on the lookout for our predictions that we'll be posting online as well. Peace.